For years, China has been the engine behind the global oil demand boom. In 2023, China consumed 15.7 million barrels of oil daily, making it the world's largest oil importer. But now the tide is turning. China's economic growth has slowed. In the second quarter of 2024, China reported a 4.7% growth rate. While this number might seem impressive compared to Europe's average of just 0.6%, it falls short of China's own 5% growth target set for 2024. According to the International Energy Agency, global oil demand is projected to plateau by 2030. A key reason: China's slower demand growth. The IEA has revised its forecast downward, cutting expected oil demand growth by 200,000 barrels per day for 2024. At the Asia-Pacific Petroleum Conference, industry leaders discussed the structural shifts in China's oil demand. Since 2010, China's oil consumption grew by an average of 4% per year. But in 2024, this growth is expected to drop to just 2%. China's centrally controlled economic system has supported strong demand for oil. But when growth slows, as it has now, oil demand falters. China's GDP target for 2024 was set at 5%, but with only 4.7% growth in Q2, this has sent bearish signals through the oil markets. In August 2024, China imported 11.56 million barrels of oil daily, the highest in the past 12 months. But this is still 7% lower than August 2023, which saw record-high imports of 12.4 million barrels per day. China's oil demand is stabilizing after decades of explosive growth. Between 2000 and 2020, China's oil consumption nearly quadrupled from 4.7 million barrels per day to 15.7 million barrels per day. However, analysts now predict that demand growth will slow to just 1 to 2% annually over the next decade. OPEC Plus and US producers are already adjusting to this new reality. OPEC Plus has been cutting production to stabilize prices, reducing output by 3.66 million barrels per day in 2024. Meanwhile, US oil drillers have started slowing down, with output growth expected to fall from 1.2 million barrels per day in 2022 to just 0.6 million in 2024. While China's oil demand slows, Europe continues to consume significant volumes. Despite the push for green energy, Europe's oil demand is falling at a slow pace, about 1% annually. In 2023, Europe consumed 13 million barrels per day, and by 2024, that's expected to decline only slightly to 12.87 million barrels per day. As we move toward the end of the decade, the global oil market is adjusting to slower growth, especially from China. Oil demand is expected to plateau at around 105 million barrels per day by 2030, with China contributing less to this growth. The future of oil will no longer depend solely on China's demand. Traders and executives will need to factor in other variables, including shifting supply from OPEC Plus and slower declines in European demand. To stay competitive, understanding these new trends will be essential.